there's really harsh laws over there towards women specifically. And, a lot of people see, I don't know the correct term, so please, people, don't murder me on this, but like the shawls or whatever they wear. But the Taliban now said that they want women's voices to be banned for singing and reading in public.
Yes.
And essentially right now they can't even talk to other males in public. I think that was already set in stone prior to this, right? It was just kind of laying out.
I think the new thing is the voice.
Correct.
But they can't even like make eye contact with men that are not in their family.
No. So there, from what I was reading on the article, is essentially the Taliban leaders are saying, while the women's voices are too tempting sexually, and because their law, their like religious law is so strict, they can't allow that to happen. Right?
Right.
I mean, they're acting like they're walking around like Aphrodite, like these men are just going to just rape these women or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of,
I don't know, man.
Like,
so I try to think about like their mindset, and the first thing that everybody jumps to is that they just hate women, right? And I'm sure that they don't respect women the same way that they would respect a man. But I feel like it's not out of hatred for women. I think if you were to ask the people that have these ideas, it's that they respect women in a different way. And the way that they always frame it is like in their minds they're protecting women in a way.
Yes.
And they revere women as like a thing of beauty they're almost like keeping it hidden and protected, at home and, in public. They can't do these things. Now, it's hard to tell what their true motivation is, but it comes across to me like it's not out of the hatred of women, really.
Yeah, I got the exact same feeling. I truly got the same feeling of, it's hard because we're in a Western civilization that is the complete opposite, right? We got women doing OnlyFans over here that we talked about before, where they're making millions of dollars. Now, if some of those women see that over here, they might jump ship and just come over here and realize that they can be millionaires. But, I think there is something to say about what we think about in Western society. Try and pull yourself out of that for a second and really focus on, okay, if I was there, what is the true reasoning behind this? Like you said, we won't know the actual, right? We can't read their minds. But from what they're saying, it's truly supposed to protect the female and really help protect the family together, right? Like only your husband should be the one that sees you naked and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah, I think family plays a big role in it. When I hear all these rules, I think that's really what they try like to protect is like the family unit. And it's also, I feel like it says more about what they think about men than it does what they think about women.
Yeah.
Like they really do see men as dangerous. And when you're so close to countries like India, where they have, total rape epidemic over there in India, where, it's just like, it's a complete accepted fact. I've heard it from people that are from India.
I can't believe you said that.
Well, it's 100% a fact. I don't think anybody will deny that.
They literally have almost half of the world's population in one country. It's like over 3 billion people in one country, dude.
Right. There's way too many people. I bet it's extremely hard to manage that. I feel like they really don't respect women over there more than like the Taliban in Afghanistan, honestly, because there isn't those things in place to protect women. I think maybe they're starting to try to figure out ways that they can protect women from these like sexual assaults out of the streets, but that's so common over there. And so when you're in that region and you see countries like that where men are out of control and they can't control themselves from their desires and they just literally attack women in the streets, well, I could see why you have a religion that implements rules to stop that. Like, I think of religion as this is a system of rules that were put in place to help govern people.
Sure.
And so obviously at some point this was an issue in that part of the world. It still is an issue. So that's just how they deal with it. And I'm sure they do look at some of the aspects of what women do here and they just think it's just absolutely insane.
I was looking at an interview. I can't remember what country it was. Middle East. It was Iraq or Saudi Arabia, one of the two. And the guy was asked, this is a little bit of a side note, but he was asked about homosexuality. And the guy straight up said, he said, we don't agree to any type of love affection in public. Any.
Yeah.
Whether it's homosexual, heterosexual, whatever. So to kind of go to your point of like, they're also harsh on the male in the fact of like, it's frowned upon to hug your wife in public, kiss your wife in public over there is what I gathered. Again, we don't live over there, so if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's what I gathered from it is really any type of affection in public at all is frowned upon, whether you're male or female. So,
well, in the comments of articles like this where Taliban passes extremely conservative rule against women, everyone in the comments refers to how the Taliban is also putting through an effort to try to get more tourists over there in their country. You know, they're slowly realizing as they have the responsibilities of being a government on the world stage that they need to be friendly with other countries, and a big part of economy is having people come to your country and want to work with you, right? So they're trying to push that. Well, people will point out sort of a contradictory nature to that, where they say, well, I'm a woman. I'm not going to go over there if you're passing these laws. Like, how can you pass laws like this and then also say you want me to come visit your country? I think that they're fundamentally misunderstanding. Like, they don't want your tourism as a woman. They don't want women's tourism.
Right.
They want men from other countries to come around. They don't want you to go over there and not follow their rules.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's not really contradictory. It's just that you still think that they're trying to conform to like the Western ideas. But Afghanistan is like a social experiment in a way, sort of like how North Korea is a social experiment for what happens if you just cut off all of your society from the outside world. Mm-hmm. And we think that's very fascinating. Well, Afghanistan and other very conservative Islamic countries like that are a social experiment of like what happens if you don't give women any say whatsoever. Like if you don't care what women say, what happens to your society? And what happens is you got dudes that are walking around with AK-47s. Like if we didn't have women or we didn't care what they said around here, like everybody would be carrying guns like Han Solo around, you know? If you are a single guy, well, if you're married, like you and I are both in committed relationships, like, and you have guns, like you can't just leave your gun laying around the house.
I can't eat
right?
cereal with it right next to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Like your wife's going to be like, get your gun off the credenza, right?
Yeah.
And then you go over to your single friend's house after you're kind of getting used to that, making those accommodations. Single friend's house, he doesn't even have a credenza, but he just leaves his gun laying around, like, you know, doesn't care about those things. You're like, wow, my wife would never allow this, you know? Like, so we make those concessions. Afghanistan doesn't have any of that. Everyone's walking around with AK-47s. They got night vision goggles and helicopters.
IEDs in the sand.
Because we left it for them, you know? So they have all this cool stuff
That's
we can't try because the military has it and it's controlled.
It's true.
Just regular guys have this stuff out there, and then they're shooting guns in the desert. Afghanistan is for the boys.
Speaking of that, do you remember how many times have you seen like CNN? Why are they always driving in a Toyota truck? Do you ever see that?
Yeah.
It's always a Tacoma or something, dude. Like, what is Toyota doing, dude? Like, everyone talks about like Ford is the largest truck manufacturer in the world. I don't know, man. Like, I'm seeing Afghanistan. They're going through the dunes in these Toyotas, these white, little, small, like Ford Ranger-looking Toyotas.
That's a good advertisement for Toyota, though. It can carry a heavy load and go off-roading, dude. Like, if you're into some off-roading, you want to be carrying a lot of stuff, like, those guns got to be heavy, dude. But Toyota can handle it.
Yeah. So, amazing. Absolutely amazing. Do you have anything else you want to add on that?
Well, I do, just because trying to prepare for the story, I wanted to see what it really is like over in Afghanistan. Yeah. Because the fact that they want people to tour there after, having such a terrible reputation is interesting. And I wanted to see what that would be like. And there are videos out there of people that go and like tour in Afghanistan, and it does look kind of nice. Like when you go to like any country, like what do you want to do? You want to look at the shops, you want to go hiking, you want to try their food. Like there's all of that stuff over in Afghanistan. And other than the fact that on the corners there is guys with AK-47s, and you just kind of got to get used to that. They got food. You can try their cuisine. You can have chai with the guys, sitting in their cave houses, right? And it's like, and I always thought, by the way, whenever you heard about like Osama bin Laden is hiding in caves and stuff, like you think the guy is like in like Crystal Cave, like where he's just like hunkering down. But like they have cave houses that are actually pretty nice, dude. They got carpet in there, like it's furnished. It's really nice. And the scenery is just like beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can get hooked up with a guide and you can go to Afghanistan. They'll show you around. You just don't bring your wife,
No.
but you'll have a good time.
Right.
And like I would rather, after seeing these videos, I would rather go to Taliban-controlled Afghanistan than deep into Mexico at this point, because like the threat in Mexico is the cartels, and those people don't have to care about what the other countries think about them.
No.
Like they will capture and kill an American, no problem.
Yes.
But the Taliban now has to sort of play it with the other countries, and they're a government now.
Dude.
So they're not going to do anything that heinous unless you're like breaking their rules.
I got a side story on that.
Yeah.
Okay. The cartel. So we went down for a honeymoon back in November of last year. And first time international, if you call it international, I mean, it's just south of us, the country, right? It's not like we flew across the pond, as they say. But we're sitting there, and we go to this pool, and his name's Jeff. I won't give his last name away, but his name's Jeff. He's sitting in this pool. He looks like a gingerbread man because he's so tan. And he's sitting in this pool, and we start talking. Super cool guy. He's from Florida. He lives in Florida. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I wouldn't leave the hotel here at night. Just stay inside. It's all inclusive, so there's really no reason for you to leave anyway. But he's like, he's like, you'll probably hear some horror stories about the cartel coming on the beaches and raiding people and shooting them up and stuff. But he's like, that happened like a month ago, and he said it was all misunderstood. He said basically they came and they raided a beach that they thought was like some other person's house that they were targeting, and it turned out to be like they just like shot tourists.
Oh,
and the cartel like wrote an apology like after the fact.
That's nice.
Yeah, and so after that, I'm like, oh my God, dude. I'm sitting here, I'm like, this guy's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Like, they're cool or whatever.
So where was that in Mexico?
So in Cancun.
In Cancun. Yeah, exactly.
So he was saying like, he's like, basically, if you were to cut Mexico down the middle, anything west of that middle, don't go to. He's like, you go to Chihuahua or like other places. He's like, places overrun with cartel. Wow. But he's like, you stay on the eastern side. He said most of the, even like the corrupt government over there, cops and stuff, they will make sure you're left alone because they want your money. Like the government wants your tourist money. So they're going to leave you alone for the most part unless you do something like really bad. But he's like, if you see a boat like charging the beach or something, just kind of like get behind cover. So
Jesus.
Dude, I'm like, you're nuts, bro. Like, see these guys coming in with AKs holding up like
like pirates, dude.
Yeah,
like,
so.
Man, well, I'm not surprised to hear that. Like, even in Cancun, which is literally where you fly into when you go to Mexico, even that's not safe.
No.
My grandparents used to own a house in Mexico, and it was like way south by Belize, which is the country south of Mexico. I think the state was called Xcalac. But to get there, you fly into Cancun, and you had to drive for like 8 hours, then you sleep in a town, and then the next day you drive another 8 hours into the jungle. And like you're driving down these dirt roads with just holes everywhere. They're not maintained. It's just jungle on one side, ocean on the other side. It's crabs crossing, right? And you're in the middle of nowhere. And they had to sell because things were just getting bad down there. We would be stopped in my various trips to Mexico throughout my life. We've been stopped by like guerrilla people. I don't know whose side they're on. I think they are like the police or something like that. But guys with rifles would stop us. They would take our money like in the touristy type of areas. And it's like, why would I go back down there? Even the bartenders and stuff will like scam you. Like
100%.
Anytime you get out of the resort, you are preyed on
absolutely
the whole time. We went to a bar, and down there kids can drink. So you go with your family, your little sister's getting fucked up, right? Drinking at the bar. They love it.
She's 12. She's getting
exactly.
Wrecked, dude.
That's exactly what was going on. So my sister was a minor, and then she had two friends that were there too. And it was a big group of us, and we're sitting at a table at a bar, and we're just drinking and having lunch or whatever. And they take our drink orders. Well, they get to the kids, and the adults were talking. We didn't pay much attention to what they ordered. Well, they don't really know what to order because they're like 14 years old. So like how extensive is their drinking palate, right? So they say, we'll just have like, vodka Sprites or whatever. And they're okay, well, what kind of vodka? They don't know any brands of vodka. No. And so they're like, whatever you want. Well, we have our lunch. They probably had 3 drinks each, and we get our bill, and it's so expensive. We're like, what the hell is this? We just had some drinks, And we look, and all the kids got 3 Grey Goose Sprites.
Of course.
Each.
High end. Yeah.
Yeah, the top shelf stuff, right?
Yeah.
Taking good care of us. And it's like, they got us, right?
Yeah.
And while we were eating, they were taking our picture, like, you know, just like, oh, yeah, we'll get a picture for you guys. You know that they sent that picture to themselves. They're just like, put it on the wall, like these dumb gringos. And that's how it is every interaction outside of the resorts in Mexico. Like, it's a beautiful place, but, like, you have interactions like that all the time. Every store owner wants to haggle with you. Like, they're trying to argue the price of everything. Like, you get caught in someone's shop and they're trying to like trap you in there. It's just awful.
I got this dude. So thankfully I'm a cop because I'm like figuring them out, right?
Yeah.
So we're on Isla Mujeres, which is the island right across from Cancun. And so we're on this island and we go to one of the shops and all these people, right, they're trying to pull you in, like you said. Well, this guy like physically grabs me, not like aggressive, but just like my wrist and is like, oh, come on in. And we go inside, and there's a bunch of jewels there that he claims are real, right? And so he's like, I think I recognize you. He's like, I work at the hotel that you guys are staying at in the front lobby area. I'm like, really? I'm like, what hotel are we staying at? And he's like, oh, the one that everyone stays at. I'm like, okay. You said you work at the front lobby? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, like, did you work there yesterday? And I'm just starting to like question the shit out of him, you know? Yeah. And he just can't answer these questions. So I grab Carly and I'm like, we're out of here because this dude is lying out of his teeth, you know?
Even the fact that you were able to grab Carly and get out of there is like more than most people can do. Like, people feel so trapped in just a conversation with somebody. Like, they will not just walk away. And that's what you have. And they know that we don't do that. You know, you don't go to Walmart and you see something for $10 and you're like, how about $7.50? You know, like, but that's how every sale is down there.
Correct.
And it's just an awful experience. And in all the videos I watched of Afghanistan tourism, I didn't see one interaction like that.
No.
And then you get a guide that is like, you know, a local. And so with that, I feel like comes a certain amount of respect from the other people. Like, they're kind of there to translate and protect you. But it's like, it's awful down there. But if I had a couple buddies that wanted to do something crazy, I would go to Afghanistan for sure. Hang with the Taliban.
Dude.
I would do it.
You're nuts, bro. You're nuts. I mean, hey, like you said, I'd go tourist it. I wouldn't do like the bros trip, but I would tourist it.